Mayor, would you like to proceed?
Yes, please.
Good evening. This is the meeting of the Borough of Highlands Mayor and Council regular meeting on Wednesday, July 19th, 2023. The notice requirements provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given by transmission to the Asbury Park Press and the Two River Times and by posting at the Borough of Highlands Municipal Building and filing with the Borough Clerk all on January 1st, 2023. Items listed on the agenda are subject to change. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will now do roll call. Councilmember Cervantes. Absent. Councilmember Chalak.
Here.
Councilman Melnick.
Here.
Council President Oshowski.
Here.
Mayor Brion.
Here.
We have a quorum. First, we have proclamation for David M. Parker.
The Borough of Highlands proclamation on the occasion of his retirement. David M. Parker. Whereas we are here today to express a special recognition to Dave Parker and to honor him for his distinguished 25-plus year career with the Borough of Highlands. Dave began his career with the Borough of Highlands in September of 1997 and retiring as the fire official / housing inspector on July 16th, 2023. Dave has proven himself as a valuable asset to Highlands, not only as an employee, but as a volunteer with the Department of Defense, Army Fire and Emergency Services, and with the Highlands Fire Department since 1984, including being chief in 1996 and 2010. The Highlands First Aid Squad from 1996 to 1998, including being captain from 1991 to 1993, and eventually becoming a life member, and also as the dive team member while it was operational. And whereas Dave has also served as Highlands OEM coordinator from 1997 to 2017, providing valuable leadership during Hurricane Irene and Superstorm Sandy. And whereas these years of service have been marked by exemplary dedication to the best interests of this community and all of its residents. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize his professionalism and service to the Borough of Highlands and its residents. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Highlands, and on behalf of all of its citizens, do hereby present this proclamation to David M. Parker as a testimonial to the faithful and dedicated service which he has performed over the past 25 years, with our best wishes for continued success, health, and happiness in the future. If I may present this to you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Next, we have approval of minutes. June 21, 2023 meeting minutes.
I'll offer them.
You were absent.
I'll offer.
Second.
Councilmember Cervantes is absent. Councilmember Chalak?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to approve June 21, 2023 meeting minutes. Next, we have June 21, 2023 executive session minutes.
I'll offer.
I'll second.
Councilmember Cervantes absent. Councilmember Chalak?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshowski? Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to approve June 2023 executive session minutes. Next, we have July 6, 2023 special meeting minutes.
I'll offer those.
Second.
Councilmember Chalak?
Yes.
Councilman Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshowski? Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to approve July 6, 2023 special meeting minutes. Next, we have public hearing on proposed ordinance 12, an ordinance amending Chapter 3, General Police Regulations, Section 3-13.19, use of skateboards, roller skates, and rollerblades of the Code of the Borough of Highlands.
Before we start, does anyone at the table have anything they would like to speak to in regards to this ordinance before we open it to the public?
Nope.
All good? Okay, then I open it to the public.
Thank you.
Seeing
Nobody in
Doug-
public?
Doug, yeah.
Oh, you do want to go? Go ahead.
Good evening, I'm Doug Davis at 17 Central Avenue. My property butts directly to the basketball and skateboard parks. I wanted to say, I've read these amendments to the ordinances, and these points were very well thought out. There are just three things that I wanted to bring up. First of which, the amendment to 1A, where I thought it was a smart thing to make all the days of the week equally enforceable. However, changing it from 8 p.m. to dusk makes it sort of vague. We had a precedent where we had actual times, and that makes it easy for anybody who's in a position of authority, which I'm still kind of not clear on who's going to enforce this, but police officers, it's not up to individual discretion, it's not up to negotiation and an interpretation of whether it's loud enough or not. It'd be nice as a neighbor to know that at 8 o'clock the noise stops, and there's no question about whether it's going to be tonight or, what time it's going to be. It's going to be over, because frankly, I wait for the quiet time at the end of the evening. So I question why it's not just till 8 o'clock every night, if it's even hours every day. 1B, I wanted to suggest that all reasonably enforceable rules should apply to the entire facility. So if we're making a rule like 1E5, the designated activities and the designated activity areas, I think the basketball court should be for basketball, the skateboard park should be for skateboards. We're limiting what kinds of skateboarding and what kind of activities are going on in there. 1E15, whether there's amplified noise allowed, radios and whatnot. If it's not allowed in the skateboard park, there's nothing to stop them from setting up the radio on the basketball court and blasting it, and everyone has to listen to it. So I would like to see all of the rules applied evenly, and I brought that up last time I was here. The facility is one community center. We're attracting people for the sake of recreation and mutual enjoyment, and I just don't understand why we would. I hope that we will enforce no radios here, no radios there, and try to keep the activities appropriate to the areas that they're designated. That's all. No skateboards in the basketball court, that sort of thing. And then finally, there was a note about trash, and one of the things that I noticed is that there are very clear outlines about the designated skateboarding area and its surrounding areas. I would like to see some additional emphasis be placed on the neighboring residences. If you can't litter on the sidewalk next to the skateboard park, you can't throw it over the fence into our yards. And if it's going to be enforced, and that's some of these penalties are appreciable, being banned for a number of days or for a certain extended amount of time on second offenses. If they're caught throwing something into our yards, I think the punishment should be as severe or worse. It's not even mentioned. And so all of these rules about respecting each other inside the areas, respecting the rules that are posted, listening to the law enforcement officials and the authorities, whoever the authority is that's going to be responsible for reporting these things, all of those I think should be equally applicable to neighboring properties, because we live there 24/7, and whether it's curfew, radios, inappropriate activities, smoking, food, trash, all those things affect all of us. And I appreciate you having listened to me in the past. I think all of these points are excellent, and I'm really encouraged by the tone and the spirit. I just don't think having gray areas like dusk lend themselves to the kind of behavior that we see in there every day, because these are people who climb the fence because it's not tall enough. They're not necessarily people who are going to respect the spirit of dusk, and they're going to make it a negotiation where it would make it a lot easier for all of these things to be enforced if the same rules apply to each area, and the rules are hard lines, not suggestions. Otherwise, thank you for making this progress, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else has a public comment regarding the skate park ordinance? With that, I'll close public portion. Would you like to offer?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to offer it. Yes.
I'll second.
Councilmember Schlack?
Yes?
Councilman Melnick?
Yes, and I just really quickly appreciate all the input that we've received from you and your neighbors as well. I think that the comments you made are really well placed in terms of having mutual respect. I think that the asks in the sense of, can we make it extend to the rest of the rec park? I think that the ordinance has a boundary as to, this is an ordinance regarding the skate park. So as far as writing more legislation into this particular ordinance, I think we have a limitation, but as far as making sure we can take that same approach for the rest of the facility, I think it's well placed as well. So we'll look into that too.
Council President Chesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries. Ordinance 023-12 passed on second and final reading. Next, we have resolutions. R23-161, approving renewal of liquor licenses for 2023-2024 term.
I'll offer them.
I'll second.
Councilmember Schlack?
Yes.
Councilman Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Chesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolution R23-161. Next, we have consent agenda. Mayor, would you like me to read the resolutions by title?
Yes, please.
R23-162, authorizing the award of a non-fair and open contract to H2M Associates, Inc. for professional services in connection with the Highlands Phase 2 sanitary sewer improvement projects. R23-163, approving change order number 1 for Phase 1 sanitary sewer improvement project. R23-164, approving first aid squad application. R23-165, authorizing the purchase of audiovisual upgrades for the council room through the Educational Services Commission of the New Jersey Cooperative Pricing System. R23-166, authorizing payment of bills. R23-167, authorizing an extension to pay taxes to August 25th, 2023.
I'll offer. And
Did
I
we
will
still need to pull it?
Oh, no, we don't,
Another?
because he's not here.
Okay.
So we don't need to pull that out.
So offer Chalak, and Mayor, you're seconding?
Yes.
Councilmember Chalak?
Yes.
Councilman Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Chesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolutions R23-162 through R23-167. Next, we have other business, 2023 Diversity of Boards Report.
Okay. I'm not going to read the entire report. It's quite a few pages. But pretty much to sum it up, all of our, this is a Sustainable Jersey Action. And it was to census, if you will, our boards and commissions. The ones included in this report are the Land Use Board, the Communications Committee, Shade Tree Commission, Environmental Commission, Green Team, Open Space, Economic Development Review Board, and the Highlands Housing Authority. And we, very simple survey, it probably took a minute, if that much time, just to get our census numbers on the same page as what the look of each of these committees look like in terms of gender, race, Hispanic or Latino, or identify as LGBT. And collectively, the numbers were closer than I thought that they would be. And just to do those very quickly, census, I'll say the census number and then the The survey number for males, census is 53%, 54.5% on the survey. Females, 47%, 45.5% on the survey. Census for white is 86.7%. Percent white for on the survey is 92.7. Black is 1.7%, 0% on the survey. Native American is 0.1% for census and 0% for the survey. Asian is 1.2% on census, 1.8% for the survey. Other category is 3% on census and 0% on the survey. 2 or more is 7.1% on census. That's 2 or more racial groups. And it is 5.5% on the survey. Identifying as Hispanic or Latino, 7.4% on the census and 5.5% on the survey. And identify with any LGBTQ plus groups is 7.2% and 5.5% on the survey. And then what we're just going to do is we're just going to repeat this every year, just so that we can track these numbers and have a sense that the boards and commissions are a reflection of who we are as a community from our census numbers. And this report and more will be on the borough website tomorrow. And does anyone have any questions?
No questions. But yeah, certainly, I was not necessarily surprised, but happy to see that it has a close reflection.
As a collective group, it was pretty close
Yeah.
to what our census numbers reported in 2020. So I thought that was a pretty good start for us in the first year that we were having this. And that is my report.
Next, we have Sansaver.
Oh, you also have the other, it's not on the agenda, but you also have the other report in the packet here.
I
got
thought they were the same.
Oh, okay. It's another number, I was stuck, crunching numbers for the last 2 weeks, and this is another sustainable Jersey action. It's community equity and diversity profile. And this report can be used when we do our next component of the master plan. So it's not just crunching numbers and regurgitating data. It's something that we actually are going to need in a couple of years once we do our update of our master plan. And this has a lot more data to it. Again, this report will also be on our borough website, and it lists things, age breakdowns of our population, again, racial breakdowns, people with disabilities, income, people that are living below the federal poverty level, population that are without employment. I could say when we stack up a lot of these numbers and we put them against where we were in 2015 than where we are in 2015, a lot of our numbers have gotten a lot better. There are less people in poverty, which is a good thing. There are less people that are unemployed, also a good thing. Our percentage of poverty went from 12.1% in 2015 to 5.3% in 2020, and that is a huge number to just look at one number. We also have some housing statistics, and as folks that were here before Sandy know, that it used to be that we were 35% owner occupied and 65% renter occupied. In 2015, that number flipped to owner occupied is 65%, renter occupied 35%, and then in 2020, that number also grew to 72% owner occupied and 28% renter occupied. So again, there's a treasure trove of different housing stats, how old homes are, when homes were built, what type of fuel, primary fuel that we're using, and that is mostly gas. and then that's followed by electricity. So the gas consumption rate of home heating fuel is 70%, and then natural gas is 28%, and then a very small margin, 2%, are bottled tank or LP gas. Just little, if you're into this level of data, I put this report together just to be shared with the community. And let me see if I've got some other really good stats I'd like to share. Are people without health insurance in the United States, that number is 8.5%, but in Highlands it's 3.5%. I think that's a huge number, very good. And again, with that families in poverty taking it almost half of what the national rate is really just a great number to see. We're pretty much on par with people without a high school degree, which is still, it's not a large number, it's only 11.5%. The national average is 11.1. And what's this other one here? People that do not speak English well, we're almost exactly where the rest of the country is, and that's a little bit over 4%, which is still a very low number. Like I said, all of these reports are going to be on the borough website to go into the nitty-gritty of each one of the slides. There's some maps. I tried to color code things, make it interesting, and that's all I have for that.
Great stuff, Carol.
Yeah.
This is great. I love this.
That brings us to Sand Saver, which is something of an interesting idea that has been looked at. I would encourage everyone to go to sandsaver.com. They've got a bunch of videos about how they've been doing work in Michigan and also in off the coast of Africa with low-cost ways to help revitalize the beaches through their very interesting, it's like a modular system that is made from a high-density plastic that has holes through it. Then you place it at low tide, and the sand that is in the sea moves through it and replenishes the beach from both the water side as well as the land side of where you place these high-density plastics. It's just something that I thought was interesting. It's something that could be a very low-cost option for us to look at, or maybe just take one of our beaches or a not widely used beach like Matthew Street, or a very small beach like Miller Beach, to give it a go without a whole lot of investment going in. That we could probably do it as a community project. We could do it ourselves, maybe at a cost of something under $50,000. See if something like this can work for us like it worked for the other communities that they've already done it in. I just thought it was an interesting thing that we could look at, that if people had questions, or I'm not sure if everybody looked at the videos, but they were really pretty cool about how they put it in on day one. Then they showed the 3-month part, the 6-month part, just to show you how much the beach had changed over time. And if it's at a lower cost at something that's going to be effective and get the job done, I think it's something that we should all collectively dig deeper into it. And I wanted to know if you guys had any questions before we could. Like, what would questions that you would want us to reach out to these guys for?
Swimming in the summertime. I mean, where are they placed? I've got it on my screen right now.
Sure.
So it's placed at low tide.
It's placed at low tide and off season. So that
That's
way,
my question.
when your
Okay.
6 months comes, or more than 6 months really,
Right.
because not to say that once the lifeguards leave, people don't swim. They do,
Yeah.
but they're swimming at their own risk.
Right.
But it's only 3 feet tall, so you could get over it and into the water.
Okay.
And that's always the way that they've done it in the past, is do it at the off season. As soon as it gets a little bit too cold where people aren't
Right.
like,
June to September would be the swimming.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was thinking like October through, and then by the time it goes to the spring, or I think it's really June. Well, June is technically spring. By the time you get to June, you'll see this, well, hopefully we would see this, this change
Right.
in the topography. Anyway, I thought it was something interesting, something different. It's not, hardcore, I'm sure hardcore engineering went into it, but it's
Right.
something that they showed about 15, 20 people put them in there. It almost looks like a Jersey barrier, but it has holes for the water and the sand to go through. And then you fill it up with some sand on the bottom to keep it steady, or concrete you could also be used. And then as the tide flows in and out, that's what does all the work. So there's no upkeep, there's no other need for any sort of upkeep there. And I think each of those they're 5 feet long, 3 feet tall, and the half-life for one of these high-density plastic pieces is 1,000 years. So it's, at least in our lifetime, a forever solution to the problem.
It was
Yes.
interesting that they said they could be reused.
Yes.
They could be dug, once it hits.
Dug
it.
out and brought elsewhere.
I was curious, when they talked about pouring concrete in,
Mhm.
I mean, so it can't interfere with the holes.
No, no,
And
it doesn't.
It was clever also that the holes were fatter on one end and narrow on the other to
Yes.
keep the density on
Because you
shore.
want as much coming in and less
Less
coming
going
out.
I
Yes,
thought it was clever, and that you don't need any power source, it's the water itself that powers it.
Exactly.
I agree. It's an interesting design, and I think it's an interesting concept. I think I've got a couple of questions. One, if we're going to pursue this further, I think I'd ask Karen to take this to the environmental committee, just to have the examination as to putting more plastic in the water. I understand the half-life, but that's exactly, I think, the problem with plastic in the sense that it doesn't go anywhere. So while the half-life of plastic in general, I don't think we can say for sure that they're going to stay together for 1,000 years. The plastic might break apart and then go into the sea, and then we're right back to all the microplastics that are in the food system. So, not that I'm an expert, I'm certainly not an expert, that's why I refer it to the environmental committee. Second is the organization itself, Granger, and not Granger, the one I know, but with the I, it's Granger with just Granger.
Correct.
Is not specialized in this particular, they're specialized in plastics for sure, that's their business. They make these, they make urns, they make tornado shelters. That's great. I just think that as far as how applicable that design is as a business model for them, I'm not quite sure what the experience is. I know this is the second iteration of a design for them, and so I don't know if there's a third one that's on the way or what their track record is for these. And I agree, they have good installations that are out there in Africa. That one in Michigan is interesting as well, but just would want to understand that company's specialty not being with water, but just with plastics. Curious as to what their track record is there for long-term installations. And then just lastly, the only thing that I could find on the Better Business Bureau is just one complaint, and it was again related to the tornado shelters that they make. And it seemed like there was some back and forth on that for their one installation. That's not, to say that anybody couldn't lodge a complaint with the Better Business Bureau, but just to understand what would that working relationship be for a company that's based in Ohio for a solution that's being implemented here in New Jersey.
Well, they manufacture it in Ohio.
Mhm.
We have representation in Jersey.
Their business is based in Ohio.
No, I understand that,
Yeah.
but the people that brought this to us are in Ocean County. Or not Ocean County, in Ocean. Ocean Township, yeah.
As a supplier, as a secondary supplier, so they source it from Granger and they do the installation?
Well, that's actually one of the things that they said to us is because this is taxpayer dollars, they said that's where we started speaking about a community project, because the cost to install one of these 3 foot tall by 5 foot wide barriers is about $2,200
For one of them?
per foot.
Per foot?
Right.
Whoa.
So the cost of the actual, that's installed price with buying it plus installing it. if you just bought the product, the cost of that is 20%.
Okay.
So that's where it becomes in the hundreds of thousands of dollars project to the $45,000 project, because the sweat equity would be ours.
So moving them, like if they're moved, they're taken away in the summertime, they're in the fall and winter, could our DPW?
I don't think that that's
No,
the
they would be
expectation.
they would be under the sand, will go over them.
The install would be in the off-season. They're permanent-ish.
Oh.
is
They
the
get
way-
covered by
yeah.
sand.
They get covered by sand, so there's more
Ah.
sand on the beach.
Oh, I see. I'm thinking that they're movable. Okay, all right. Now I understand the cost.
And the
Yeah.
cost factor with concrete, is that like,
Yeah.
is that huge in comparative to plastic?
I mean, some concrete could be, more expensive obviously than sand that you would use on site. I mean, then there's DEP issues
I
that
mean-
you don't want to get into.
Right, they can be constructed out of concrete, aren't they? Or were they all plastic? Or
Yes,
They're all plastic.
Yeah, okay.
No, they would be filled with either sand or aggregate or concrete, something, because it has to
hold
be
it
weighed
down.
down to
Yeah,
Sure,
stay
well,
there.
but still, I saw the guys putting the sand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree that, a smaller implementation for Highlands would make sense. It also sounds like they're looking to have a demonstration as a way of, this is what can be done. So to the extent that we'd be advertising for them, we wondering if we're going to pursue this.
Get some kind of deal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
But this, I felt that, historically in the past, a lot of this discussion would happen in executive.
No,
see
I
reason
appreciate
to not
that
have
it's
it
out in
in
the
front of
open.
the
I'm
public,
just saying these are the
because
questions.
there's new things happening literally every
Yeah.
day. And this was brought to my attention, and I wanted to bring it to everybody's
Yeah,
attention.
definitely, thank you.
But that said, nothing's getting thrown into the water
No,
anytime soon.
and that's not the
There's a lot of,
implication,
we have to do a lot of homework on
Yeah.
this first, but I thought this was a good time as a first step to start looking at some interesting stuff that people are doing out there.
Cool.
Next, we have mayor's report.
Oh boy, I'm doing a lot of talking tonight. Okay. On my June report, which I know it's almost, halfway through July, but for the month of June, the municipal building is almost there. We're really just doing punch list items right now. For the Water Witch pump station, they're doing electric work. It's not completed yet, but hopefully that will be soon. Skate park ordinance to be updated. We're doing that. We just did that today. The large sanitary sewer project is ongoing. I don't know if, Bennett, if you'd like to add anything about that?
Sure, they've been working on Lyndon, William, and Ralph in the last several weeks. They're almost done up on the hill right now. They're finishing up work on Ralph Street. After that, they'll be moving to North Avenue and Bay Avenue. North Street and Bay Avenue.
The charging station, we're just waiting for our friends at JCP&L to hook it up. Sitting there just waiting. Jones Creek, we still haven't heard anything back from the CAFR permit that was submitted in December. And the Portland guardrail, waiting on the county, but we're not really waiting on the county because we also threw that into our 2024 Department of Transportation grant so that we can finally get that taken care of. Bayside and Marie should be going out to bid soon, as will Vets Park and Overlook. When are we going to know about the Monmouth County Open Space Grant for the other side of Marine Place? When does that trigger?
So that's a CDBG grant. Those are actually due the end of this week, so they're still being submitted. I don't know exactly when the awards are made, but I believe they're sometime in September, October.
Okay. The regionalization update is, everything is with the Commissioner of Education and with the county superintendent, so we are just waiting for them to come back to us and say yes or no, it can go on the ballot. And they've got to let us know by pretty much within the next month, because then we would have to print it up, get it to the county clerk so that it goes on the ballot. So we're just waiting for them. Grants update, we have been awarded a little bit more than $2.6 million so far this year, 2023. One of those awards is a $1.3 million New Jersey DOT transportation grant for to upgrade drainage on Linden, Waterwitch, Bay Ave, and Jones Creek, and we could have used that yesterday. The community rating system for lower flood insurance. Our coordinator in the last week has been incredibly busy and has been stacking up meetings with FEMA, Middletown, the county, and has been making a lot of great headway. So hopefully I'll have more concrete information on that to share with everyone. If you're not aware, CRS is called the Community Rating System. And the borough on a whole achieves a certain level of points. The more points you get, the lower everybody's flood insurance is. So that's why this is something we're actively pursuing. And that is my report for June.
Next, we have the Borough Administrator's report.
Really don't have much more to add to the report. We should get hopefully a timeline at our meeting tomorrow of when we can start moving in to the new building. So I'll be able to report on that at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Just before we go to public question, just back to your report, Mayor, just wanted to say thank you for all the work that went into the ceremony at the building. It was wonderful. Council President Olszewski, inspirational words from you as well. And Nancy, thank you so much for pulling it all together for that
That's right.
that day. It was a wonderful day, and it was great to see.
Nancy
a great day for
deserves a
Highlands.
proclamation.
We're opening.
Oh, go right ahead. Well, that's usually for the next one, but we only have one meeting, so go ahead with what you got.
I'm going to begin education news for this meeting. All students in both Highlands Elementary and Henry Hudson have a summer reading requirement in which they choose their books from the prescribed list and complete an assignment in one of two ways. They can either create a slideshow or complete a scripted annotation about, in some cases, the one book they had to read, and in others they had to read two. The summer STEAM program is in full swing at the Highlands Elementary, and it's coupled with the kids coming here to the rec department after they do their up there. Also at the elementary, a new principal has been hired. His name is Dr. Billy, I'm going to mess this up as an Olszewski, Jukutat, I think. His background includes teaching 8th grade history, his major, which was his major at the University of Buffalo. He has a master's degree from Western Pennsylvania University and doctorate from Liberty University. Also an extensive and successful career in coaching wrestling at many levels. Henry Hudson Regional graduated 44 seniors in June. 1 went to the Air Force, 1 went to the Marines, 5 went from school to work, and 37 went on to college, and among them garnered $2.8 million in scholarships. That's pretty cool. School will begin for teachers on Friday, September 1st, and on Wednesday, September 5th for students in both schools with a 12:30 dismissal. That's it.
Okay. Anyone else? Join in? Okay.
Public portion. Individuals wishing to address the council shall be recognized by the presiding officer and shall give their name, address, and the group, if any, they represent. Although the council encourages public participation and reserves the right, through its presiding officer, to terminate remarks to and/or by any individuals not in keeping with the conduct of a proper and efficient meeting. If any individual refuses to conduct themselves in a proper manner, they will be removed from the meeting. The council will not, during the public portion of the meeting, discuss matters involving employment, appointment, termination of employment, negotiations, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation of the performance of, promotion, or discipline of any specific or prospective or current employee. There's a 3-minute time limit for your comments.
Please.
Peter Mullen, 11 Marine Place. Alongside my house, I have a public pathway. It's on the west side of Captain's Cove Marina. And for the entire portion of the summer thus far, that roadway has been blocked by equipment at the cheerful end of the block. There's all of his trucks and boats and so forth, and you cannot wend your way through that stuff to get onto that path. Where he has those boats is borough property, so I think you have a right to ask him to make a path in that area. So,
Take care of it for one.
Yeah? Okay.
Michael Cannon, 10 Central Ave. One question with regard to the sand saver, or just a suggestion. It is kind of a demonstration project, and you may be able to get funding and technical support through New Jersey DEP and the Davidson Lab at Stevens University. Because if you're doing it, there should be a full monitoring program. The company should have a warranty that they will remove it if it is not successful. Just a suggestion. That
Sure.
is, they've had demonstration programs they've funded in the past. The other question is, with regard to the sewer work, is there a timeline when the paving will occur? Is it all going to occur when the whole project's done, or is there going to be any interim paving?
We're working on that with the contractor right now, actually. We want to allow time for trenches to settle before final paving work is done, but it's now been, particularly along Central Ocean Beach, that area, it's been a couple of months now, so we're talking to them about when that's actually going to happen, and we're getting a schedule from them.
Thank you, Mike.
Tara White, 18 Central Ave. First, I would like to thank the mayor for you acknowledging my son.
Absolutely.
It was very kind of you. Unfortunately, I missed the first part of the skate park thing. I fought for that skate park, and unfortunately, I don't know if you all know, I lost my son on June 5th. I would like to put out there a suggestion of some kind of memorial for my son, in honor for kids to go there and make the friendships that he made and the joy he had being there all those years, and he couldn't wait for the skate park to be done again. I'll be there every chance I get. I thank you guys if you can just consider it. Thank you.
Sure. Does anyone else want to have something to say? Go ahead, Peter.
Just to add to my previous comment that as you wend your way north on that pathway alongside my house, there are the remnants of some silt material and stakes and so forth that were part of a project that were started when they started dredging the marina and then didn't, and they were planning to put this fabric in there and stakes and whatnot, and that still lays there in the pathway as well. That should be taken care of.
Thank you. I see both Ben and Mike writing notes on that. I'm sure letters will be going out.
Joseph White, 18 Central Ave. My wife and I, like she had spoken, have lost our son, who was a very avid skater. My family's been in this town for over 150 years. The only decoration plant in the whole country is named after Borough White. My cousin was a cop in this town. I worked for the borough when I was a kid. My cousin worked as a garbage man until that was taken away. We're not asking to do that because of that. We're asking this because these kids need a place to go rather than drugs. Mental awareness and drugs are killing a generation of our kids. If they have a safe place where they can congregate and talk about things that on the right side of things, it would be better for them. There's really no place for the kids to go. I mean, I remember when the Memorial Park wasn't even there. There used to be, we used to call it the cell block. And then they made that park down there. And the kids would be kicked out of there. I was one of them. Kicked out of there, 5, 6 o'clock at night. There was no place to go. And we're not saying that we want the skate park open until 7, 8 o'clock at night. What we're saying is that it would be a good place for kids to go. And like I said, my son was a very avid skater. A lot of his friends from town are on the DC skate team out of Philadelphia. And I'm sure that that team would come up here for a grand opening with all the professional skaters to open that park for that. And like my wife said, I'm just, for consideration wise, we're not doing it just because he was our son. We're doing it because he was an original Highlander. Just like his dad, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. White. Can close now.
Executive session. Executive session will be held following the regular council meeting prior.
Or just closing public portion?
Yes.
Okay. Before we ask you guys to leave so we can get into the public portion, keep an eye and an ear out. Jackie Kane is working she's working very hard to do a ribbon cutting for this entire area of the Snug Harbor courts, the skate park, all of that. Once we have some more information from her, we'll put something out on the borough website, on all the Facebook pages, on Twitter, on all of the accounts, Instagram, I think we have as well. So all of those accounts, we'll be putting the word out so that we'll open the entire Snug Park area with a nice little ribbon cutting. So I think it's appropriate. It's been a long time. It's been worked on for quite a couple of years now, all the different pieces and parts, and I think it deserves its own celebration. If anyone has nothing to add, okay, then I'll make a motion to go into executive.
May I read first?
Sure.
Executive session. Executive session will be held following the regular council meeting. Prior to each executive session, the Borough Council will convene an open session, at which time a resolution will be adopted in accordance with NJSA 10:4-13. No formal action will be taken during executive session. Resolution to enter executive session. Be it resolved that the following portion of this meeting shall not be open to the public. Further resolved that private consideration is deemed required and permitted because of the following noted exceptions set forth in the Act. Potential litigation. Be it further resolved that it is anticipated that the matters to be considered in private may be disclosed to the public at a later date when the need for privacy no longer exists.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Councilmember Chalak?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick? Yes. Council President Oshesky? Yes. Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carried to enter executive session at 7:54.
I make a motion to exit the public meeting.
All in favor?